The WWE Universe just witnessed one of the most shocking decisions in SmackDown history as general manager Nick Aldis made the unprecedented move to fire Kevin Owens from the Blue brand following a vicious assault on Randy Orton that left the Viper fighting for his career. If you're just as stunned as the rest of us and want to stay updated on every explosive development in this unfolding saga, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now because things are about to get even crazier. What started as simmering tension between two former allies has erupted into an all-out war that has forced management to take drastic action, and the fallout from this decision is already sending shockwaves through the entire WWE landscape. The chaos began several weeks ago when cracks started appearing in the relationship between Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, two men who had fought side by side against some of the biggest threats in WWE history. Their partnership seemed unbreakable as they dominated tag team competition and watched each other's backs through countless battles, but beneath the surface, resentment was building. Owens had grown increasingly frustrated with what he perceived as Orton receiving preferential treatment from management while his own contributions were being overlooked. Every time Orton was given a championship opportunity or main event spot, Owens felt the sting of being passed over despite putting in the same work and delivering the same results. The tension reached a boiling point during a backstage segment where Owens confronted Orton about a decision that cost them a crucial tag team match. The conversation quickly escalated from a disagreement between partners to a heated exchange that revealed years of buried frustrations. Owens accused Orton of being a glory hound who only cared about his own legacy, while Orton fired back that Owens was jealous and bitter about not being able to reach the same level of success. The argument ended with both men walking away, but everyone watching knew this was far from over. In the following weeks, their interactions became increasingly hostile as they were forced to compete in separate matches while still being booked as a team. The awkwardness was evident every time they stood in the same ring, with neither man willing to acknowledge the other or work together effectively. During one particularly tense match, Owens deliberately tagged himself out when Orton was in trouble, leaving the Viper to fend for himself against two opponents. Orton managed to pull off a victory, but the damage to their relationship was irreversible, and fans could sense that something explosive was coming. The breaking point arrived during a contract signing segment where both Owens and Orton were scheduled to sign agreements for separate championship opportunities. General manager Nick Aldis had arranged the segment to try and clear the air between the two competitors, hoping they could at least maintain a professional relationship even if their friendship was over. The arena was electric with anticipation as both men made their way to the ring, the tension so thick you could cut it with a knife. Aldis attempted to mediate, asking each man to voice their grievances and find common ground, but his efforts were futile. Owens unleashed a verbal assault on Orton that stunned everyone watching, calling out the Viper for being handed opportunities throughout his career while others had to scratch and claw for everything they got. He brought up Orton's family legacy, suggesting that being a third-generation superstar had opened doors that would have remained closed to someone from Owens' background. The comments struck a nerve with Orton, who had spent years trying to step out of his father's shadow and forge his own path in the industry. The look in Orton's eyes shifted from annoyance to pure rage as he slowly rose from his chair. What happened next will be replayed for years to come as one of the most brutal attacks in SmackDown history. Before Orton could respond to Owens' accusations, Owens grabbed the contract signing table and flipped it into Orton's midsection, sending the Viper crashing backwards into the corner. Security rushed the ring, but Owens was like a man possessed, fighting off multiple guards as he continued his assault on Orton. The attack was methodical and vicious, with Owens targeting Orton's previously injured shoulder with a series of brutal strikes that left the veteran writhing in pain. Aldis called for more security and officials to flood the ring, but Owens had completely lost control. He grabbed a steel chair from ringside and delivered sickening chair shots to Orton's back and shoulder, each impact echoing through the arena as fans watched in horror. Medical personnel tried to intervene, but Owens shoved them aside and continued the onslaught, pulling Orton to the outside and driving him shoulder first into the ring post. The sound of flesh and bone meeting steel made everyone in attendance wince, and it became clear that this wasn't just about settling a score anymore. Owens wanted to end Orton's career. The attack finally ended when a small army of security guards and wrestlers from the locker room managed to pull Owens away from his victim. Orton lay motionless on the arena floor as medical staff rushed to his side, checking his vitals and carefully examining his shoulder. The look of concern on the medical team's faces told everyone that this was serious, and the broadcast team went silent as Orton was carefully loaded onto a stretcher. As Owens was being escorted out of the arena by security, he showed no remorse for his actions, instead yelling at Orton that he had this coming and that he was tired of living in the shadow of the legend killer. The WWE Universe was left in shock as SmackDown went to commercial with Orton being wheeled out of the arena and Owens being removed from the building by local authorities. Social media exploded with reactions from fans and fellow wrestlers, many expressing concern for Orton's condition while others debated whether Owens had finally crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. The wrestling world held its breath waiting for updates on Orton's status, with reports trickling in throughout the night that he had been taken to a local medical facility for evaluation. The following week's episode of SmackDown opened with general manager Nick Aldis standing in the ring, his face showing the strain of dealing with the aftermath of the attack. The crowd was buzzing with anticipation, wanting answers about both Orton's condition and what consequences Owens would face for his actions. Aldis wasted no time addressing the situation, his voice firm and his demeanor serious as he explained that he had spent the past week in meetings with WWE officials and legal representatives trying to determine the appropriate response to what had happened. Aldis revealed that Randy Orton had suffered significant damage to his shoulder and would require surgery to repair torn ligaments and other injuries sustained during the attack. The prognosis was uncertain, with doctors unable to say definitively whether Orton would be able to return to the ring or if his legendary career might be over. The announcement sent waves of sadness through the arena as fans processed the possibility that they might never see the Viper strike again. Aldis paused to let the gravity of the situation sink in before turning his attention to addressing Kevin Owens and the consequences he would face. The general manager explained that while WWE has always been a place where emotions run high and competitors settle their differences in the ring, what Kevin Owens did went far beyond the boundaries of acceptable conduct. The assault was not part of a sanctioned match, it continued well after officials attempted to stop it, and it resulted in serious injury to one of SmackDown's biggest stars. Aldis stated that he had reviewed the footage multiple times, consulted with WWE management, and wrestled with the decision throughout the week, but ultimately there was only one course of action he could take. In a moment that will be remembered as one of the most significant administrative decisions in SmackDown history, Nick Aldis announced that effective immediately, Kevin Owens was fired from the SmackDown brand. The words hung in the air as the crowd erupted in a mixture of cheers and boos, some fans believing the punishment was justified while others felt it was too severe. Aldis clarified that this was not a suspension or a temporary removal from television, but a termination of Owens' contract with SmackDown, meaning he would no longer be allowed to compete on the Blue brand under any circumstances. The general manager went on to explain the factors that led to this decision, emphasizing that WWE has a responsibility to its superstars to provide a safe working environment where competitors can trust that their colleagues won't cross certain lines. While rivalries are encouraged and intensity is part of what makes WWE compelling, there has to be a line that cannot be crossed, and Owens had obliterated that line with his actions. Aldis also mentioned that there would be potential legal ramifications for Owens beyond his firing, as Randy Orton and his legal team were exploring their options regarding the assault. The WWE Universe was split on the decision, with passionate arguments erupting on social media about whether firing Owens was the right move or an overreaction. Some fans pointed out that WWE has a long history of violent attacks between competitors that were resolved with suspensions or fines rather than terminations. Others argued that this situation was different because of the severity of Orton's injuries and the fact that Owens showed no remorse for his actions. The debate raged on as everyone waited to see how Kevin Owens would respond to being fired and whether this was truly the end of his time on SmackDown. Kevin Owens broke his silence 3 days after the firing announcement with a lengthy statement posted to social media that did nothing to calm the storm. Rather than apologizing or showing any regret for his actions, Owens doubled down on his position, stating that everything he did to Randy Orton was justified and that he would do it again if given the chance. He called Aldis a coward for firing him instead of letting them settle their differences like men in the ring, and he accused WWE management of protecting their golden boy at the expense of someone who had given everything to the company. The statement sent shockwaves through the industry and seemed to confirm that there was no path back for Owens on SmackDown. Wrestling insiders began speculating about what this meant for his future, with some suggesting he might show up on Raw or attempt to force his way back onto SmackDown through legal means. Others wondered if this could be the beginning of a storyline that would eventually lead to a massive match between Owens and Orton when the Viper returned from injury. The uncertainty only added to the intrigue surrounding one of the most controversial situations in recent WWE history. As the dust begins to settle on this explosive situation, the WWE Universe is left with more questions than answers. Will Randy Orton be able to return from his injuries and get revenge on the man who tried to end his career? Will Kevin Owens find a way back to SmackDown, or has he truly burned every bridge with his actions? How will Nick Aldis handle the criticism from fans who believe he made the wrong decision? The story is far from over, and every week brings new developments that keep everyone guessing about what comes next. The firing of Kevin Owens represents a turning point not just for SmackDown but for WWE as a whole, setting a precedent for how management will handle situations where competitors cross the line from rivalry to genuine assault. General Manager Nick Aldis has drawn a line in the sand and made it clear that there are consequences for actions that endanger the health and careers of fellow superstars, regardless of how popular or valuable a performer might be. The decision has sparked debate about where the line between entertainment and reality should be drawn in professional wrestling, and how companies should balance the desire for compelling television with the safety and well-being of their talent. For Randy Orton, the road to recovery will be long and uncertain, but if anyone has the determination and resilience to come back from this kind of injury, it's the Viper. His legendary career has been marked by comebacks and moments where he proved his critics wrong, and this will be the ultimate test of his resolve. The entire WWE Universe will be watching and waiting for the day when Orton's music hits and he makes his way back to the ring, hopefully with vengeance on his mind and Kevin Owens in his sights. The SmackDown landscape has been forever altered by these events, with a power vacuum created by the absence of two of its biggest stars. New opportunities will arise for other superstars to step up and fill the void, while the specter of what happened between Owens and Orton will hang over the brand for months to come. Every contract signing and backstage confrontation will now be viewed through the lens of this incident, with officials and security on high alert to prevent anything similar from happening again. This saga has captivated the wrestling world and proven once again that WWE can deliver must-see television that keeps fans on the edge of their seats. Whether you believe Nick Aldis made the right call or think Kevin Owens was treated unfairly, there's no denying that this story has generated massive interest and discussion across every platform. If you want to stay up to date on every twist and turn in this unfolding drama and never miss another shocking moment, make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you're always in the know when news breaks about Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, and the future of SmackDown.